These guys are in Madrid, and that's ahead of a big game coming up this weekend in Madrid. And let's just remind you of Atleti's standings when it comes to the Champions League. They did manage to get through behind Liverpool in Group B. It was a bad-tempered clash that got them there. I mean, that's to say the least, isn't it? They didn't do too much on the way to it, but they are there in the end. Anyway, Stevie Nicol.
He loved it, Stevie.
He was not very happy at all.
Oh,
in
dear.
fact,
I tell you what, who upset more? Did he upset Atleti fans more, or did I upset Milan fans?
Well, let's hear from Stevie on Tuesday and you can decide.
Stevie, we watched this game together and you spent a lot of the time swearing at Atletico Madrid.
Honest, I tell you what, I must admit, there's a team I hate, and hate's a very strong word. I hate watching them. They're in the wrong era. This team should have been playing in Europe in the 80s, where all you had to do was get a goal and then waste as much time as you can, fall over, kid on you being punched or assaulted. They got outplayed. They were totally outplayed. But, oh, my God, what a horrible bunch to watch. Can't stand it.
Stevie, have you got over it yet?
I feel even worse now.
What?
Having looked, well,
you don't like to look at yourself in that sort of angry mood.
You know, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I had this opinion of, you know what, they're up against Barcelona, they're up against Real Madrid, they've got to do it the way they can. You know, I'm certainly it's about results, and you get them how you can. However, if you go out and spend $500 million, they've spent $500 million in the last 4 years on players, and you produce that garbage, seriously, you've got the highest paid manager on the planet and he's producing garbage like that, because that's all it is.
But they're through to the last 16, the La Liga title holders. Does it matter?
Well, I guess if you're an Atletico Madrid fan, it doesn't matter. I guess if you're the board and the owners of Atletico Madrid, it doesn't matter, because you're paying this guy a ridiculous amount of money. But to every other football-loving person in the world, it's garbage. That's the best word for it.
And Pablo, what do you think about what Stevie's saying here about Atleti?
No, I cannot agree with Stevie. I mean, what Simeone is doing for Atletico Madrid is simply amazing. When you look at the history of the club, or even the previous manager before Simeone, Quique Sanchez, Aguirre, Bianchi, they're all the same, you know, type of managers. That's the philosophy of the club. They've always been playing it like this. They've always been hard team to play against. Even the fans, they don't want to see beautiful football. They just want a team who give everything 100%, who defend compact, that they are strong defensively, they are a counter-attacking team, and they love it. That's why, I mean, Simeone is doing a great job. He took the club to another level. So I really enjoy watching the Atletico Madrid.
Okay, where you go. So why do you go?
There's a bit of
why do you go and spend? How do you go and spend?
There's a bit of Argentinian brotherhood here.
Right, why would you spend 130 odd million on a player, João Felix, and then he's sitting on the bench because he doesn't chase and tackle? He can dive, he can roll around. I mean, come on, Pablo. Seriously. $500 million.
Transfer fees these days. Transfer fee, any player, any good player, if you want to buy, it costs 70 million.
Your team, Man City, your team, Man City, spent $500 million. We all criticise saying, oh, they bought this and they bought that. But I'll tell you what, you didn't have to play some good football. At least you could justify it. You can't justify $500 million on this nonsense.
Different.
Sid, is Stevie missing the point of Atleti and who Atleti actually are, as Pablo was saying?
Look, there are loads of things to pick up on, but there's one that I particularly enjoyed, and that was Steve Nicol, 1980s Liverpool legend, saying that Atletico Madrid play in an awful way, just like teams in the 80s did. Yep. And I thought, well, hang on a minute, which one of these is this? I mean, I think one thing I would say in defence of Atletico Madrid, apart from the things in Europe, that's a good point. You were at Liverpool at a time when Europe wasn't actually possible, unfortunately. I think apart from the things that Pablo's talked about, I think the other thing I would say actually in Atletico's defence is that I don't think they won the league title playing boring defensive football last year. I think they were a more expressive team. I think they were a more attacking team. They were a team that took the game closer to the other side's penalty area, partly, of course, because they recognised that they had to with Luis Suarez, because they couldn't play the ball over the top to him anymore. So they had to bring the whole team up the pitch. I think as well, if you look at the change, this is a team that has finished ahead of Real Madrid in 3 of the last 4 seasons. And that is a huge achievement, even with the resources that they now have. So I don't think it's quite as clear-cut as to say they're a boring team, because I don't think they have been. One thing I do think is very interesting, though, and in this point, I think I do go with Steve a little bit. Not so much in terms of the aesthetic of it, but the idea of it. After the game in midweek in the Champions League, you heard lots of Atletico Madrid players, and all of them used the same line. They all said, we wish we could suffer a little bit less. And yet at the same time, you then got Correa saying, this is how we have to play. This is how we have to be. This is Atletico Madrid. And to be honest with you, purely in terms of pragmatism and winning, I don't think midweek is how they have to play. Because I think they were lucky in midweek. They were fortunate. Yes, the spirit was good. Yes, the attitude was good. Yes, the sense of a kind of a collective cause, which I think they've lacked a little bit this season. But in terms of actually how you're playing the game, I didn't think that much of them.
Pablo?
No, definitely. I mean, the thing with Simeone is how he can convince those players to, to follow him. That's the toughest job for a manager. When you have the players on your side and you ask, do this, and the players want to do it, it's just, what you need in football. And for me, that's why, all the players, when you look at the whole team, they have so much quality. Even Carrasco on the ball, he's a fantastic player. But he does all the running, he does all the hard work for the team. The Pau, the same thing. He's been a massive signing for them. And he's really good. But then off the ball, he runs like more than anyone else in the team. So that's what Simeone is all about. He wants to play good football. He's not that boring. Come on, they have quality in that team, but also they know when they have to defend deep, when they have to give the ball to the opposition, and then we defend all around the 18-yard box. And then when we go and we press up. So, that's why I think Atletico Madrid, of course, they have so much quality. They can play better. But in the end, I think when the players, they all follow the manager's idea, that's the most important thing in football.
I never once said they didn't have quality. I never once said that.
Well, could this change your mind, something? Or what Pablo
But what's the point of having quality if you've got them running around, diving all over the place, kicking people, and defending at the top of the box? What's the point of having the quality?
Tell you what, I'm more open-minded.
I think, Steve, one thing it might be worth adding here is that having quality and cheating are not necessarily mutually exclusive. You can be a brilliant quality player, and cheating's just an extra element to your game. It's an extra part of it, and that toughness and so on that you need. But I think actually fundamentally what you're saying is, I do think there is a broader debate here. I think there is a broader debate here, and I think part of what you're saying kind of speaks to this, which is whether with this team, never mind the aesthetic, let's strip that out again and go back to whether or not you want to win. Whether or not with this team, maybe it does need more evolution. But as I say, I personally would argue that last season we did see that. Last season we didn't see the same Atletico Madrid team that it was when they reached the 2 Champions League finals. It was a different side.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.